What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Game On Improve Your Health podcast. Today's episode journey is being guided by none other than your host, Austin J, or hallucinodream if you know him from the gaming community. And today's episode is on the nutrition series, part 1, Added Sugar. Thank you for tuning in and listening, and enjoy this episode. Blah, 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 blah. What's up, everybody? Austin J, hallucinodream here. This one is being posted late. I apologize. Again, I've been very busy. Sorry for the squeaky chair. The chair's being thrown out. Thank the lords and ladies. Also, if you can see here in the bottom corner, if you're watching on YouTube, that's a corner of Grogu's face. That's a Grogu plush. Because I'm using the microphone on my camera, I'm not going to show you. So, maybe next time. So, thank you for those who are returning. Thank you for those who may be tuning in for the first time. I am starting a new series. I'm not going to be doing these in any specific order as the weeks progress, but I will be doing them in an order that I think will be beneficial to you, the listeners, and the viewers and the followers. So, if that even made sense. So it's a nutrition series, so I'm going to go over, this episode's on added sugar. I'm going to go over oils, different oils that you maybe should be using, that you should definitely avoid, and why. Then we'll go over like different carbs, how to look out for those, and whatnot. No specific order here on the podcast, but so I guess it is kind of in a specific order on how I think you might benefit from it the most. And I'll tell you why. I'm going to start out by saying nutrition, so health and wellness overall, health, wellness, nutrition, fitness. There is a lot of information, and it becomes overwhelming very, very fast, which is why I started this podcast and I started One Punch Nation, because I want to try to make the information as easily digestible, pun intended, as possible for those who are listening, because I know that just from experience for myself, getting started in a health and wellness routine and stacking fitness and nutrition and everything else that goes with it on top of each other becomes very overwhelming very fast. There's a lot of information. I personally, I got stuck several times. I mean, what's the term I'm looking for? Regressed a couple different times in regards to nutrition. I mean, I still eat cake and chocolate more than I should, and I'm aware of that. Okay, so that's, everybody has their that one thing that they really, really enjoy, and and I could say in moderation. Everything's good, and we're gonna stick with that for just the moment. But down the line, I'm gonna explain why in moderation also isn't really the best terminology, and why that actually might not work out the best. But I do stand by the fact that if you don't feed your quote-unquote sweet tooth with something close to what exactly you're craving, like chocolate cake, it could turn out potentially worse, right? So, like, I have a piece of cake that's sitting in the refrigerator, just as an example. I know I probably shouldn't eat it, but I've been wanting to eat it for days. If I don't eat it soon, I'm probably going to just go overboard and eat a whole cake, right? So I just need to eat that piece of cake. Now, I'm also going to be, we're moving, as I stated in the past episode, I believe, maybe 2 episodes ago. I am going to be cooking a lot more and baking, so I'm going to be making my own homemade, like, protein muffins, like chocolate protein muffins, with dark chocolate and all these other cool stuff and things. And I might just make some videos on what I'm doing and what ingredients I'm using and how I'm baking them and where I'm getting these recipes from, of course, to share with all of you. Maybe that could help kickstart some baking and cooking for all of you listeners as well. So today we're going to talk about added sugar, and I'm going to talk about, and I think this is important because added sugar has a lot of negative effects to it. There's not many, if any, benefits to added sugar to your food, your drinks, or anything nutritional. So why am I starting, or why did I start with the added sugar? Because I will say that's the, for me personally, and this is going to be individual, but I think that personally was the um, easiest part of the nutrition label to be able to instantly have my eyes go to and scan to see if there's added sugar, and if from there, decide if I am going to even go any further or not. So I will tell you, just from experience. So doing this over and over and shopping and learning new things, and we're gonna go over that. So I don't expect anybody to instantly pick this up right off the bat, but when I go food shopping, when I look for food, especially if packaged food, whatever it may be, if I don't know what it is right off the bat, or it's something new to me that I haven't seen before, maybe the first thing I do is turn the bag, the box, whatever it may be around, and find that nutrition label and the ingredient list, and the first thing I look at is the added sugar. And I do that because if it has too much added sugar in it, I really, 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 truly try for zero added sugar at all times, but sometimes you're just in a pinch, you can't do that, and that's okay. Um, Especially when you're first starting out, it's very, very hard to eliminate sugar as a whole, added sugar as a whole, because it's in everything. So, but that's the first thing I look at, and as an estimate, if I see I feel like 9 is my number. If it's 9 grams of added sugar or above, I typically put it back instantly. I don't even look at anything further, unless it's like something I really truly need. I'll give an example. The other day, I needed dark chocolate chips so I can make this dark chocolate chip cake. I also put it in overnight oats, but I went to 2 different stores, couldn't find the dark chocolate chips that I was looking for, but I knew I wanted to make this cake, right? And it's overnight oats. So I got the closest thing that I could. It had 11 grams of sugar in it. Wasn't completely dark. The ingredients were fairly good in comparison to all the other stuff. So, but I did settle for that one, and sometimes that happens. I'm not going to, as it stands right now, I'm not going to sweat over that because 2 grams of sugar, as long as you know, like I am aware, and I make sure that I continuously am aware of the amount of added sugar I am, uh, you know, taking in, right? And that is just kind of like this chair, this chair. That's kind of just like a thing I think everybody should do, but the thing that I do, like I don't count, like I'm not counting macros here. Like I'm not counting my added sugar and adding it up. And every time I eat added sugar, I'm not logging it, but I am taking a mental note to try to keep it as low as possible. So, um, I think added sugar is a good start for people. So, my rule of thumb for me personally is 9 grams. Now, I probably didn't start there. I don't remember off the top of my head how exactly I started and where, but I know sugar has been the first thing I eliminated since I started my health and wellness routine, and I believe I probably started pretty low as well. But I was probably a little more lenient back then. So if you're just starting out, um, you know, you can be a little more lenient because especially if you're not used to it, be a little more lenient and then start slow. Just like if you haven't listened to some of my past nutrition episodes, we talk about starting slow, taking baby steps in those episodes as well as many others. But there is the first thing I want to now I'm going over a lot of stuff already, but the first thing about added sugar and sweeteners I want to say is, and I don't know these names off the top of my head, so I'm going to reference them, of course. I do know some of them, but so when you're looking at added sugar, right? And I didn't mention this, but even if it says it doesn't have any added sugar in it, if you look at the ingredients list as well, So this is something I do as well. So I will look at the um, added sugars. If it's 0, I instantly go down to the ingredient list and I scan the ingredient list as quickly as possible to see if it has a name of a sweetener or added sugar in it. And those names can be, if I remember, I'll put these in the description. And if I don't, I apologize. Somebody reach out, and I will. Aspartame, which is also known as amino sweet and NutraSweet. That's what one of the ones I didn't know. I know aspartame, but I didn't know amino sweet and NutraSweet were names for it. So that's interesting. Something we both just learned today. Except I learned that like yesterday. There's Acelfame. Now I'm not going to say these correctly, so I apologize. Which is also called Ace K, like Ace-K, ACE, like the card. Saccharin, sucralose, which is Splenda, if you didn't know. Everybody knows that one. And tagatose. Now these are sweeteners that, add added sugar into packaged foods or drinks, and they have pretty hefty negative effects on health and wellness overall. So if you see any of those in an ingredients list, now I don't expect anybody to remember those. What I would do is probably anything that I go over with names specifically, maybe write them down on like an index card or some kind of card that'll fit in your wallet. I would hope when you're going shopping, you probably have your wallet on you, or if you have one of those phone cases that you can put your credit card in the back, slip that card back there so that way you have it, or put a note in your phone. I feel like if it's a physical card though, it'd be a lot easier to reference and you might not forget as often, right? So there's some notes I put in my phone that I find months later, and I'm like, wow, probably should have looked at that a long time ago. That's why I wrote the note. Anyways, so those are how many was that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 different sweeteners with 6, 7, 8, 9 different names. Okay. So, well, Splenda technically you probably won't see on an ingredient list, but that is one of them. Now there are good sweeteners that you can use. So like if you're baking, and I use some of these as well. I use stevia. Stevia is one of them. That's one of the best and most known. Stevia is a plant, so this is stevia plant is what it comes from, and it's incredibly sweet, and it is right off the top of my head, this is a no calorie, no added sugar with it, and it's one of the healthiest alternatives to sweeteners that you can get. And a lot of people use that. You can look up stevia and recipes that use stevia, and a lot of people vouch for that specific sweetener. There's also monk fruit. I use monk fruit for a variety of different baking, as does my wife. She does most of the baking right now, but that's going to change soon. That's a powder, and it comes from like a small green lemon, which is what a monk fruit is. That's also something I just learned. I knew monk fruit and the benefits of it, and the it being a replacement for sweeteners, but I didn't actually know monk fruit was a real fruit that was green. So that was cool. There's also erythritol. Not gonna say that one right. I never will. I don't even say that one out loud often because I'm afraid of saying it wrong. So I'm going to say it wrong. Somebody can correct me if you want. That is that's not as sweet. So that is one that's not as sweet. We also have a bag of that downstairs, and that one is good for cooking. Like you can add that into sweeten up some of your dishes, right? Some of your main dinner courses, we'll say. And then you can add some coconut sugar, right? There's coconut sugar, and that has more of like a brown sugar type consistency, and taste from what I hear. I mean, I don't think I have personally used coconut sugar. I use a lot of different coconut stuff, but coconut sugar specifically, I'm not sure I've I've baked or cooked with. So if somebody has, let me know, but it's got a brown sugar type consistency. Other stuff that I use as sweeteners when I'm baking and cooking, not specifically, or making food, or whatever it may be, is honey. I put honey on my avocado toast, sweeten it up. I just put honey in my oatmeal that I made today. My oatmeal, flax seeds, chia seeds, banana. I also put dark chocolate in there, 100% dark chocolate. Yeah, it's bland, but I actually like the taste of it because I've eaten so much of it, and I like the benefits of dark chocolate. But I put some honey in there to sweeten it up. Honey is a natural sweetener. And maple syrup. It's got to be pure maple syrup. I think there's a little more that goes into that. But maple syrup is also a good sweetener, and it can be used on a variety of things. There are a lot of different syrups out there. You have to be careful with that. I can possibly do a write-up on maple syrup. That's actually something I have been interested in kind of doing a little more background research on, because I do want to use maple syrup a little more often, but it's one of those things where I don't do it enough, so I haven't really done the full background research on it, if that makes sense. So maple syrup can be used, but it's something that you should make sure it's pure, right? So there's I get this pure maple. That's on the ingredient list. Let's backtrack for a second. Honey and maple syrup. If you look on the back of the honey and the maple syrup, it'll tell you if there's anything else but honey and maple syrup in that container, right? And if you're looking and you see other ingredients, they probably have some sort of like added sugar, added carbs, added whatever it may be, preservative, we'll say, and that's probably generally not good. Now there are some things that could be added to them that wouldn't be considered terrible, but that is a topic for another day. So there's two other alternative sweeteners we can use. Now, I just went over quite a bit. What I recommend again is, if you're not used to it and you're just getting into the routine of maybe meal prepping, maybe you're just starting meal prepping, you want to start eating healthier, start with added sugar. Write these names down. You can rewind the episode, rerun the video, write the names down, put them on a little index card or whatever fits in your wallet, or the back of your phone if you're using your phone as a wallet, and reference them when you go shopping. And I think you will be surprised at how quickly you will build that as a full-fledged habit, where you won't necessarily even think about it. You kind of just, that's kind of what happens to me right now, is I don't even really think about it. I just scan for the sugar. There's been a couple times where I got caught not scanning for sugar when I'm incredibly distracted shopping with my daughter. She loves sugar, so it's like sometimes it slips through. Right? It happens. So what are some of the negative effects of added sugar? Why didn't I start with the negative effects of added sugar? Let's not start with the negatives. Let's start with the positives, right? So if somebody just went through this episode up until now and they're like, you know what, I don't really want to listen past the 17-minute mark or the 18-minute mark, then at least you got the positives out of it. That's good. And that'll build more motivation, I believe, than the negatives. And by I believe, I mean I know that. But what can added sugar bring to you? Nothing good. I will say the main reason I avoided added sugar right off the bat since I started my health and wellness journey is because I kind of started my biohacking journey many, many years ago, indirectly unknowing what biohacking was. As a matter of fact, this might be before the term was coined, because I couldn't stand that I couldn't remember anything. So I wanted to improve my cognitive ability, my memory, my ability to think faster. I was always kind of a fast thinker, quick wit response type person where, I can retaliate pretty fast. And by retaliate, I mean come up with sarcastic response to anything people said. But my memory was just very, very bad, so I wanted to help with that. And then I learned about the the effects of food and preservatives and processed food on brain and cognition, and how it can affect that and bring on early onset dementia, something I am very much working very hard to avoid. I know what you're thinking. You eat a lot of cake, dude, so you're not trying that hard. Sort of true, but still trying hard, okay? And yeah, I was way too, okay? Everybody does. It's just whatever. It's just whatever. That's why I'm gonna start making my own sweets, okay? So just, it's okay. It's gonna be okay. So I'm trying to avoid my cognitive downfall, right? And I want to be as fully cognitive with it as I can be for as long as possible. I don't want to get dementia. I want to be able to remember everything that I possibly can. I'm doing other things on top of that, on top of nutrition to help with that. But yeah, so I started that a long time ago. That's one of the first things that I learned about, and how added sugar can really affect that. Added sugar can, and I think a lot of people know this one already, is weight gain. It can really, really put on weight gain. It raises blood pressure. It has the ability to increase the risk of heart disease, the risk of type 2 diabetes. It brings on fatigue, so you get the sugar crash, right? Your sugar alcohol levels, your blood sugar levels. That sounds weird. What time is it? Wow. Anyways, you know what I mean. But yeah, it raises that. And also, it has been linked to, this is probably more individual variants than anything, increasing like acne for people, or just problems with the skin, right? And I think that's true. There's a lot of people who stop eating, like they stop eating so many carbs, they stop eating added sugar, and their skin does clear up. That's where the link's coming from, is all these studies going towards finding out, the effects of added sugar, and that's one of them as well. I find that interesting. I've known that for a long time, but I find that interesting. I feel as though that's something not everybody knows as well. So, and one of the really, really hugest, biggest ones is inflammation. Added sugar causes inflammation in the body. Inflammation is, I think, we have a whole episode on this. I just cut myself off. I did, because that's how important that was. I think we have a whole infomercial on this episode on inflammation. Maybe it was cortisol. Somebody go back and check, and let me know if the information in there was actually good. It was. But inflammation, and if you eat enough of it, and for a long period of time, it becomes chronic inflammation. Chronic inflammation, it just disrupts everything in the body. Your hormone balance, it disrupts your cognitive ability, your central nervous system, your immune system. Inflammation it's good on low levels. Inflammation is good when your body needs the inflammation. But if you are forcing the inflammation through eating processed foods, bad foods, and there's other things that cause inflammation as well, but added sugar will cause inflammation, and if you're doing this over a long period of time, it'll become chronic inflammation, which will really boost out all of the negative effects that I just said, and make them even harder to combat, right? So chronic is long lasting. Okay, it's not like inflammation that is, I'm not talking like you've been inflamed for 3 days. We're talking longer than that. And inflammation in the body, right? Like your gut can be inflamed, and basically everything in your body that we just listed off. So there are just not many benefits to added sugar. So that's why I thought talking about added sugar was going to be the most beneficial for you as a viewer, as a listener, as a supporter, and as it was for me. And I still, again, I have been since 2017 when I started, so it's been 5 years already. It's a long time, but not long enough. I've been looking at added sugar first, and I make sure I eliminate that as much as possible, because that one is, and I've made that a serious habit, so that one's the easiest for me. I think that just knowing some of the positive aspects of what we talked about today in regards to possibly making a list on which ones to avoid, which ones you can use for cooking. You can also research all this. So this information is starting to become more and more widely used and known and passed on from people, especially all the bakers and the cooks out there. They are substituting with healthier alternatives to sugar because one, they're healthier, and two, they taste the same as sugar, right? And they generally don't give you that crash that you get like you would from eating a boatload of sugar. So that's what I have for added sugar. If anybody has any questions on anything you heard, by all means, please let me know. Let me know in the comments here on YouTube. Let me know in the comments on the podcast platform. Reach out to us on social media if you're watching on YouTube. Over here on the left, that's the left. Over here on the left is all of our links. If you're listening on the podcast platform, all of our links are in the description. Reach out to us, let us know. We'd love to answer the questions in our follow-up and question and answer. I've been getting that one wrong lately. As well as, add on to what I may have missed or feel as though I needed to add on next week. So thank you for those who are returning and listen. Thank you for those who may be just tuning in. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, leave us a review if you enjoyed what you heard today. And I hope to see everybody in next week's episode. Thank you.